We really need to brace ourselves for something big and dramatic in Jujutsu Kaisen. Though the anime is at an interesting point in the Shibuya arc, the manga is maintaining a flow of low-key chapters, setting the stage for a massive revelation. As of now, we have seen the painful deaths of your favorite characters like Nanami, Nobara, Naobito, Mekamaru, Masamichi, and Yuki Tsukumo. Do you think Takaba is next in line to join them, or would he unlock his powers and fight it out with Kenjaku? Let's not waste much time and break down Chapter 241 of Jujutsu Kaisen. Giving viewers a recap of what happened in the previous chapter, we see that Takaba and Kenjaku are getting serious about their battle. So far, Takaba has been playing around and confusing the sorcerer about his abilities. As Takaba and Kenjaku's conversation about comedy and comedians progressed, Kenjaku was gradually able to learn that Takaba's distraction was actually his cursing technique. Takaba's curse technique is called comedian. Takaba needs to be the funniest person in the room. The funnier his joke is, the likelihood of his joke becoming reality increases. This curse technique is strengthened by his confidence and conviction. Matthew Perry from Friends, too, felt the need to be the funniest man in the room. He was often seen competing with Matt LeBlanc, who was perhaps silly more than funny. This made him confident, otherwise he would panic and have a nervous breakdown. Kenjaku figured that attacking his confidence would weaken him. To make things worse, Takaba sees Hazenoki's dead body. The chapter ended with him realizing the gravity of the situation, and Kenjaku sprinkling some dark humor to scare Takaba to the point that he would give up. Takaba on his road to becoming a funny bone. Let's go back in time and see how it all started. Back in the university, Takaba is waiting for his partner who supports him in his show. He shows up late and Takaba is infuriated. The way his partner reacts to his yelling shows that he has lost interest in working with Takaba. Takaba starts rehearsing. He begins rapping. Yo, species, non-native, food, vegetative. There seems to be no coherent thought behind his rap. Plus, he doesn't set the stage for his stand-up for his audience to connect, as Kenjaku pointed out in a previous chapter. His partner seems to have forgotten his lines and doesn't care about them either. Takaba realizes that he doesn't give a damn. Honestly, it is hard to blame Takaba's partner, who would want to sign up for this. Back then, Takaba also seemed to have an attitude. The way he asked his partner to apologize makes him seem like he's trying to show who's boss. His partner snaps at him and says that the only reason he stuck with him all this time was to keep the upperclassmen away from him. He mentions that Takaba is antisocial and unfriendly. Neither does he come out to drink with everyone, nor does he laugh at anyone else's comedy sets. The fact that they recycle and reuse their old jokes on stage keeps them from being chosen to go on stage. It is really hard to imagine that the man who strikes to be a funny bone wants to be the funniest man in the room and wants to make everyone laugh was once arrogant and antisocial and nonchalant. Takaba says that he's trying to be serious about comedy. Now, this oxymoron makes sense for Takaba. Comedy is an art that he is dedicated to, just like any artist is serious about his art. Takaba was serious about comedy. Seeing Takaba take himself and comedy so seriously, his friend said something that should go down as a quote from a great person. If we can't laugh at this stuff, why would the audience? This dialogue is a lesson for every person in the media. You need to write, sing, act, dance, and make people laugh the way the audience would like it. The scene ends with Takaba asking a profound question: why did I become a comedian again? Takaba stuck in existential crisis in his 30s. There is a time skip and the scene pans out showing Takaba reading comments about his performance. One of the comments says, "Before the act, I felt grossed. You should die." His colleague consoles him, saying that he can't make everyone in the audience laugh. However, Takaba's seriousness towards comedy had driven him to the extent that he wore a tutu with a swan sticking out from the middle. This was the last nail in the coffin for Takaba's partner, and he decided to quit and start a new life as all his peers had settled down in life. Takaba is seen lying in bed, tangled in his thoughts about a future gig. He wanted to take the opportunity and make girls laugh, who would then find him interesting. With every passing minute, he was getting impatient to tell someone a joke. This part of the chapter highlights the life of a struggling artist. The fact that Takaba wasn't ready to give up yet is commendable. He sets a good example for many struggling to make it big in life. Though each day he asks himself again and again, why did I become a comedian again? Why did he start taking comedy seriously? The fact that a person takes on a situation like the one Takaba was in is to resolve an internal conflict that has festered to the extent that they aren't able to live with it. and want to change it. Takaba used to be an antisocial, cold, and serious when he was a kid. He didn't have friends, he was lonely. Takaba wanted to change that, and the only way to have his peers see him and make his presence felt was to be funny. He put all his effort into being the funniest person in the room, and before he realized it, he made quite a few friends. This is the dilemma of every misfit in school. Characters like Jughead Jones from Riverdale, Uzumaki Naruto in Naruto, and Midoriya Izuku in My Hero Academia have all worked hard to have people talk to them and befriend them. The next scene shows Takaba on the phone with someone where he ends up laughing at something he said which was funny and actually made sense. He said, "If I were serious, I wouldn't be having this much fun." Hehehe. According to Takaba, in order to know how funny he was, he wanted people to get to know him better, and then he wouldn't be lonely anymore. We then see Takaba sitting and talking to what looks like his younger self. The kid asks him why is he pursuing comedy so seriously. Takaba takes a moment and reflects on his thoughts and how delusional he was to affirm his thoughts about being serious about something that was meant to be fun. He was taking comedy seriously and tried too hard to not hurt himself for being unsuccessful. Quoting Takaba, "I think what Ken-san said is completely right. Pigs will fly the day someone makes 100% of an audience LAGH. Even still, he wasn't trying to tell me to give up. I wanted to affirm myself. I took his words in a way that worked for me and I gave up. I wasn't confronting the laughs head on. Somewhere along the way, I stopped taking comedy seriously." Takaba's challenge to Kenjaku. We're back in the present and see Kenjaku on his way to attack Takaba again when he is in awe of Takaba's Dogiza. It followed the golden ratio. It had been a long time since Kenjaku had seen a perfect Dogiza. It was sometime in his late 20s when he was able to perfect this position. Kenjaku is shocked as to how he got to thinking about the Dogiza. Takaba shouts and apologizes to Kenjaku for lying, saying that everyone except for him found his jokes hilarious. He took putting Kenjaku down to protect himself way more seriously than he should have. Kenjaku is seen dumbfounded by Takaba's apology. From what it looks like, Kenjaku couldn't understand what was going on. Takaba then promised to make every person in his audience of 100 laugh hard. With that being said, Takaba challenges Kenjaku, saying that he will make him laugh until his guts fall out. Kenjaku, being Kenjaku, didn't take him seriously, yet was waku waku about this challenge thrown by someone as lowly as Takaba. Takaba's resolve at the end of the chapter is quite similar to Uzumaki Naruto's, who never went back on his word and always strived hard to be successful at whatever he did. It was his ninja way of life. We can't blame fans if they're still rooting for an underdog like Takaba. He is most likely to go down as a martyr unless the cavalry arrives at the place of time. Marvelous verdict. This chapter was so-so, not quite exciting, but sure is inspiring. We think that Akutami epitomized Takaba as a struggling comedian and artist in a way to pay tribute to all artists who still haven't given up in the face of failure and uncertainty in life. The existential crisis that Takaba went through in his 30s is the story of a lot of people in the real world. Akutami also dealt with sensitive subjects like loneliness and being a misfit in society with a lot of sensitivity. The mangaka explained the perspective of a loner with simplicity and ended Takaba's confrontation with his loneliness and insecurity on a positive note by showing him standing up to Kenjaku. I bet readers must have felt great seeing Takaba challenge Kenjaku to make the stranger laugh till his guts fall out. It would be interesting to see how chapter 242 unfolds. Will Takaba bite the dust, or will Kenjaku's guts fall out? Stay tuned for more content on JJK, and like, share, and subscribe to Marvelous Anime.